Welcome to the Voices of Florida House District 14, Love Thy Neighborhood, the podcast where your story matters. I'm Therese V. Wakefield-Gamble, a lifelong Jacksonville resident, educator, advocate, entrepreneur, and your 2026 candidate for Florida House District 14. This podcast is more than just conversations. It's a movement, from kitchen tables to corner stores, from neighborhood meetings to City Hall, and all the way to the Florida State Capitol. We're bringing together voices from every block, every precinct, every walk of life. From Sherwood Forest, Moncrief to Norwood and Brentwood, Lakewood Forest and Grand Park, Cedar Hills and Hyde Park, Arlington and Fort Caroline, Southside Estates, Ocean Way and Turtle Creek. Also, Oakleaf, Normandy, and Crystal Springs. Your stories lead the way. And of course, we shine light on our historic neighborhoods: Springfield, Eastside, Durkeeville, San Marco, downtown near the Jaguar Stadium, and Myrtle Avenue. Communities rich with culture, struggling, and legacy. Michelle Buckley boasts over 2 decades of extensive experience in the mortgage banking industry. Her career spans roles from originating home loans and processing them to managing loan pricing on the secondary market. She also excels as a wholesale account executive where she provided support and expertise to mortgage brokers. Additionally, Michelle played a vital role in assisting her late husband in managing a small mortgage company in Central Florida. As Michelle's career evolves, she embraced new opportunities, channeling her expertise into project management, administration, and marketing. Her dedication extended beyond the professional realm as she actively volunteered in various church ministries and contributed to small business development. This transition was deeply influenced by her journey through personal grief, which inspired her to focus on personal development and branding. Today, as a public speaker, Michelle is passionate about motivating others to build strong business relationships and set meaningful goals. Her commitment to community extends beyond education. As a co-leader of a Girl Scout troop, Michelle discovered her love for the environment, which led her to serve as Secretary and Treasurer for the Duval County Environmental Caucus. She also plays a pivotal role as Chief Relationship Officer for the Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce, supporting entrepreneurship and fostering sustainable community growth. In her role as Secretary and Treasurer for the Duval County Democratic Environmental Caucus, Michelle is deeply involved in advocating for sustainable environmental practices and policies. Her responsibilities include maintaining accurate records of meetings, managing the caucus's financial accounts, and ensuring transparency and accountability in financial reporting. Michelle worked closely with fellow caucus members to coordinate initiatives that raise awareness about environmental issues, promote conservative efforts, and engage the community in discussions about sustainable development. Her passion for the environment and dedication to civic engagement made her an influential voice in the ongoing dialogue about creating a more sustainable future for Duval County and beyond. As the Chief Relationship Officer for the Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce, Michelle Buckley plays a vital role in fostering business growth and community engagement. In this capacity, she leads efforts to build and maintain strategic partnerships with local businesses, community organizations, and stakeholders. Her work involves developing initiatives that promote economic opportunities for minority-owned businesses, advocating for diversity and inclusion in the business community, and organizing networking events designed to connect entrepreneurs with resources and potential partners. Michelle's adeptness in cultivating strong business relationships is instrumental in her mission to empower local businesses and contribute to the economic vitality of Jacksonville. In her capacity as past PTA president and current board member, Michelle has been a transformative figure in the Duval County educational space. She is proud to serve as a Duval County Public School parent champion and currently presides over the School Advisory Council at Johnny Ford Montessori School. Michelle diligently works on projects that raise funds for the schools, such as organizing events like the Fall Festival, which directly supports the acquisition of essential software and educational resources. Michelle is passionate about ensuring that parents are informed and engaged, particularly regarding significant changes from the school board. She advocates strongly against the cessation of school bus services for magnet school students, recognizing the challenges this presents for minority families who face difficulties accessing quality education beyond their neighborhoods. Moreover, she raises awareness about the closure of neighborhood schools, questioning the future of these buildings in impoverished areas, and advocating for their repurposing to benefit the community. Dedicated to addressing critical issues such as budget cuts that prevent high school students from accessing advanced placement courses, Michelle Buckley is an unwavering champion for educational equity and excellence. Her multifaceted approach combines her professional background, public speaking, and profound commitment to community engagement, making her a respected voice in advocating for all children to have fair access to quality education. Through these roles, Michelle Buckley not only demonstrates her leadership and organizational skills, but also her commitment to advancing communities through business development and environmental stewardship. She is not only a devoted mother and grandmother, but also a visionary leader who believes in leaving the planet better for the future generations. Her dedication to fostering self-sustainability through self-employment and community service is a testament to her unwavering commitment to positive change.
Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is your host, Therese V. Wakefield-Gamble, your 2026 candidate for Florida House District 14. And today we are on Voices of Florida House District 14 podcast. And I am super excited to have my guest on today, Michelle Buckley. She is a public speaker, a community advocate, a chief administrative executive officer, and a chief relationship officer with the Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce. So welcome, Michelle Buckley, to the podcast.
Thank you so very much for having me here today. I greatly appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. I am so super excited because I was thinking earlier today how we first met. And it was at the Kamala Harris birthday party at the IBW Hall. And you was with the Girl Scout troops. And I was so elated how you was working with the girls. I overheard you talking to them about voting and Black history. And I'm like, okay. I said, okay. I said, this sister, I like what she doing with the young ladies. And it wasn't just the Black girls. It was the Black, the brown, the white. And that's what made it so fascinating because they were so attentive in listening to you. So I appreciate now that we've cultivated this beautiful relationship, not just as community advocates, colleagues, but also true sisters. So I want to say thank you so much for that. But anyway, this podcast ain't about me. This is about you. Who is Michelle Buckley, honey? Let the people know.
Well, there's a lot to Michelle Buckley. When we think of talking about ourselves, we go numb because we're like, what can I say about me? But let me start off. I'm a mother of two beautiful, intelligent daughters who teach me every day, a grandmother of an amazing 14-year-old grandson. He's really great. He's the apple of my eye, but you can't tell those two girls that. I am a widow, but that does not define me. But it also segues into why I got into service and serving the community. So I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. And this is all part of my journey of finding me. I am over that cuff, that over 50 mark. And you're thinking to yourself, how do I find myself? Where do I fit in this part of my life? Where can I fit in? What's my calling? Mm-hmm. And so that's where all my service and to community and everything. And then, of course, having a younger child. There's a big difference between my oldest and my youngest. My oldest is 35. My youngest is 11.
Wow.
So, yes, that's a 23-year spread. Trust me, it was not all my idea. That was definitely my husband's idea to keep trying. So yes. we have a big split. I was just as active as in the oldest ones growing up and everything and doing her all of her activities. As I am the youngest, it's just the difference now is that I'm by myself and I have to do it alone, which is kind of scary at
Mhm.
times. But it it assisted me with, let's see what we can do to make our lives better and make others' lives better while we're doing it. So that's where my passion of service comes in from, is what can we do to make all of our lives better?
That's cool.
Raising daughters is something of a feat, I should
Mm.
say. It is. The girls are something of a feat to do. And I do have to say, my village is very large. And one of those parts of that village is the Girl Scouts.
That's
Um,
good.
and we've been doing it since she was in kindergarten. And I have wonderful friends, real friends that I've actually met through Girl Scouts and helping cultivate my daughter into the young lady that she is today.
That is beautiful. That is so great to hear. And she is a unique individual, Miss Jude. If
Yes, she is.
you will be meeting her soon. She will be a force to reckon with, but a good force though. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. So I understand, being a widow and personal grief, and a lot of individuals don't have that tenacity or that passion and how to turn their grief into a way of building power or planting seeds of change. And with that personal grief, being with the Girl Scouts and reading about you being involved with the Environmental Caucus, the Black Chamber of Commerce, and your roles with the school board. What role does your grief play in how you operate in those different hats? Because I know it's different settings, different environments, and it will become challenges. So how does Michelle navigate those spaces?
Well, it all started when my husband got sick, um, and we were trying to find a school for her.
Mhm.
Now, I have to toot my school's horn. Johnny Ford Montessori K3 through 8 is an amazing school.
Wow.
When we went to see, what the school was about and learning different styles of how children learn, that was the school that jumped out at us. And that's where I guess I wanted to plant my tree. And my husband and
Mhm.
I talked about it. What can we do to help cultivate Jude coming up? Where she was, what was her learning style? Jude is
Mhm.
very much so an independent learner. She wants to do it on her own. And so we wanted to cultivate that. So getting involved with PTA
Mhm.
and SAC, which is the School Advisory Council, I
Mhm.
jumped all in. That helped with learning how to deal with, sickness. Cancer is a big change in people's lives. And when you're getting diagnosed and saying there is no cure for this
Mhm.
particular cancer, how do you deal? So I
Mhm.
had to have an outlet so I didn't have to think about what my husband was going through at the time all the time. I had to think about, what can I do to kind of let off some steam, if you will,
Mhm.
um, to keep my mind and my juices flowing. How can I serve? How can I assist my child with going through what we all are about to go through? So that's where it really started. I like to tell people with PTA, it's not all just serving cookies and PTA. We don't sit around and gossip. We're raising funds. We're learning about different legislative things that are going on in our communities. PTA is parent teacher advisory. So we think about, what can we do for our schools? What can we do for our teachers? What can we do to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity of learning and getting all the resources they can? So PTA now is totally different than, back in the day, Harper Valley PTA. It's totally
Yes.
different now. So
Wow.
um,
Wow.
going through that and going through grief, that actually assisted me with my grief. And trust me, I had a community of people that came to us to help us navigate and go through everything from the sickness through COVID.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
everything. And it's great how you become a village with your school family. So it's very important for parents to get involved with PTA. It's not about selling cookies and popcorn and all of that. Yeah, that's a portion of it, because you do have to raise those funds to help your school. Because as you can see, budget cuts are going on. And sometimes you have to raise funds because there's not enough funds to pay for an iReady, or to pay for something that the school would need assistance with, different softwares, things like that. Teachers need a certain type of books that they're trying to learn or teach our children with. That's where PTA comes in. That's where your funds go, not just, parties and things like that. That's where those funds and those resources come from. It's from all the parents getting together and organizing and saying, hey, this is our school. This is where we are. This is what we want to do. I know when kids get older, the parents join the booster clubs, and it seems like a lot of the booster clubs uh, only think about the football teams and things like that. But however, there's still PTA, there's still SAC. If you don't want to join PTA, there's still SAC, which is School Advisory Council. That's where a lot of people from outside of the community can come and join and listen and talk about the different changes that are going on within the school district for that particular school. I advise that if you sit in any kind of position and there is your local school in your neighborhood or near your job, join their SAC, their School Advisory Council. Go and have input. Go and give go and give your input and your resources, and say, hey, you know what? This is going to be something bigger. Let me start going to school board meetings.
That is
And
very good. I'm glad you brought up school board meetings because lately in Duval County, they're going through these budget cuts. They're talking about cutting programs. They're talking about eliminating certain services and resources for our students. How is it important, to get the working family involved with the PTA and SAC, because those meetings don't always coincide with their work schedule. How can they get involved or voice their opinions?
let me tell you, the best thing to do is try to make time to go to a school board meeting. And most of those meetings are held in the evening, late in the evening, like 6 p.m. Go to the school board meetings, write, email, call your representative, let them know, hey, this is not what I voted for you to do. So you not only talk to your school board representative, I'm telling you, talk to your city council member, talk to your senator, talk to everybody and say, look, I can't get to every meeting. I can't, but your voice still can be heard. You can send emails, you can make phone calls, you can still regular mail. I still send regular mail. I will put a stamp on a letter in a minute. I'm going to make sure you're going to hear what I have to say. Right now, we're facing things like busing for magnet schools.
Wow.
Let me tell you how important that is. A lot of students who go to different magnet programs all over the city, a lot of them come from the north side. Some go to Wolfson High School, way on the south side. Some go to Paxton, and the parents can't get them to these schools. Either they don't have a car, or they have to work very early in the mornings, or what have you. So you're looking at a lot of children in minority neighborhoods not being able to get to their programs. So if you're cutting budgets and saying, hey, we're not going to provide busing for the magnet kids, that's a big thing.
Mhm.
That's not conducive. That's not right. That's not helpful. How are you talking about building our communities and educating everybody, have a fair and equal education system, when you can't provide, or you won't provide, busing, which is simple for all of our students who go to these programs? We have very intelligent, very smart children. Jacksonville is an amazing city, and we have amazing and brilliant minds here in our city. So we have to look at the busing situation. Why, magnet schools, it's a choice. Yes, it's a choice, but these schools provide a lot of great opportunities for our students. So we have to fight and look and say, you know what? maybe the person at the top does not need to make six figures. Maybe
Yes.
we need to take some of that funding, or maybe we need to take something from somewhere else, but we need to keep those buses going. We have to keep those buses going. Children of African American minority descent, that's how a lot of us get around, is on those school buses for that. It's not always safe to put them on a public bus, to put your
That's
child there.
good.
It's
Right.
not
I was
always safe because you have too many opportunities for your child not to reach their destination unless you're going to pay somebody to be a bus monitor on a public school bus, which then that's even more money you're putting in a place where you could just have the school buses.
That is so true, Michelle. That is so true. That's where I was going to go, because a lot of parents starting to lean on public transportation, but it's not safe. We have predators. We have, bus drivers, that's going different routes. You got new drivers. You got students that's riding the the public transportation for the first time. But I want to chime in and piggyback on what you said. Our tax dollars pay for those bus transportation. So this is why it's important that parents, we need to vocalize. There shouldn't be no reason why but public transportation for school buses should be eliminated if you paying our tax dollars. And
Exactly.
recently, a couple of students just went to city council trying to save their AP and IB courses, which I heard it was a fiasco. How the Republican city council members was mocking the students and downgrading them and disrespecting them with dismissive comments. And this is why we as taxpayers needs to get involved. And I want to say so much. I thank you for what you do, advocacy. Despite you use your grief and you use advocating as a PTA president, a SAC committee chair to really blow off some steam, but in a good way, getting in good
Yeah.
trouble. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about it. So tell me about the Democratic Environmental Caucus and the Jacksonville Black Chamber. How did that happen?
Woo, let me tell you, let me tell you. It all started at a party for Kamala Harris and hanging out with the Girl Scouts. Let me tell you, that is just what it was. It's so girly because, with the Girl Scouts, we were about environmental things. It's leaving things better than the way you found them. That's one
That's
of
good.
our mantras. It's, if we're going on a hike, you make sure that everything is cleaned up, picked up. Even if you didn't put it there, let's clean it up. Let's pick it up. Let's make sure we leave our earth the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to go back a little bit and say, in the Bible, it tells us how God left Adam in charge of the earth. He got to name all the animals and everything, and the plants and everything. And that was his job, to take care of the earth.
Yeah.
Well, it's our job to take care of the earth, that what God has given us.
Yes.
So getting involved with the Environmental Caucus, thank you so very much, Therese. And that was just wonderful. It was like, hey, would you want to get involved with this? And I'm thinking, you know what? This is a good cause. It's something else that I can do, but it's something that I love. Making sure we're, talking about sustainability, making sure we're talking about clean air, fresh soil, fresh water. My 35-year-old, I call her Farmer Brittany. She is all about urban gardening. She got in. She actually went and got her master gardener certification through the University of Florida. And we are all talking about, what is it about having fresh fruits and vegetables and food? Because we're seeing things more prevalent now, cancers. Everybody's getting sick. We don't need all those additives and all those chemicals in our food. Right. I know it's like, oh, it's faster to grow your things faster, to make everything go faster. That's not good for our bodies. Right. So in order to have good food, good air, we're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to, hold legislative accountable for dumping, and hold these companies accountable for polluting the water and polluting the soil. And you think about, you see a lot of people get sick in a certain area of town. Why? Because where their subdivision is now used to be a landfill 20 years ago. Well, is 20 years long enough to wait before you turn it into a
Wow.
park or turn it into a subdivision? You might have to wait a
Wow.
lot longer than that. And we also have to find ways of how to recycle, how to change the plastics better, and what do we need to do with all the oils and stuff that's being dumped in our rivers? We have to find a way and hold these companies accountable, hold our legislators accountable, and say, okay, we got to go after these guys. You're dumping in illegal areas, or you're dumping in places where you consider not a good place,
Exactly. But
and where it's majority, I'm sorry, minorities live over there.
exactly.
And we don't need that. We need to be able to hold everyone accountable and say, look, this is our earth. We have to take care of it. I mean, we're getting complaints from people saying, "Oh, it smells over here so bad. What can you guys do to help us?" So we have to call the city, call other counterparts, and say, "Okay, what can we do to make this better?" Dead fish floating in creeks,
Mm-hmm.
that should not be happening, because a lot of people go fishing in
It's
different little remote areas and stuff, and they don't need to get sick. We don't need to get sick from that. And let's talk
it's
about the air quality. Okay, on the north side, you can smell it all the way from way north Jacksonville all the way downtown, and people's like, what is that smell? That's something that we need to hold somebody accountable for.
exactly. Exactly. I totally agree. And that was my reason for relaunching the Environmental Caucus, because of the harmful things that goes on in the urban core neighborhoods with the soil contamination because of dumping. That means if the soil is contaminated, we can't grow food. If the water is contaminated with corporations dumping chemicals in the water, we can't drink it. We can't water our
Mhm.
food with it. And then if the air quality is bad, it impacts our health. We can't breathe. We have respiratory conditions like asthma, bronchitis. That is going to be very costly. So this is why, I was passionate about doing it. And when I saw you with the Girl Scouts, I said, this will be a cool way to get her involved, and we can train up the next generation of environmental justice advocates. So I thank you for answering the call and contributing, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to meet Brittany. I understand she's doing some cool things with that garden on Moncrief.
Yes, she is. She's over there on the 45th in Moncrief with the Eartha White
Okay.
community garden. You can see her over there. I believe it's the first and third Saturdays. If you go over there
Okay.
and say, Brittany, I know your mom, or I've seen your mom, she's gonna put you to work. She's gonna say, okay, well, you've seen her. Come on, like help me plant some of this, or let's grow something else. She's very good about making sure whatever she's planting is in season. That was one thing that we used to be planters. We used to
Hmm.
be gardeners. We used to be farmers. And it's time for us in the minority African American community to get
Hmm.
back to it. That's how we bartered with food. You grew corn, I grew tomatoes. We're going to switch it up.
Yes.
Somebody else down the street had some chickens. We're going to take him some corn and some tomatoes, and we're going to get some eggs. And everybody's complaining about, the price of meat and the price of eggs and everything. There are certain laws that you can't have chickens in certain areas, but if somebody is in another area and they can have chickens, we can work that out. There's a way of doing all of this clean, sustainable ways.
Yes.
So, and we can all work together. We just have to make a conscious decision on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. There's
I
always
love that.
classes to take. Always classes to take. I mean, you can get online and learn a lot. Get down to the University of Florida, get into that program. I'm more than sure that FSCJ has something going on here with dealing with agriculture, and we can make this work. We really can. We don't have to let it run away, and everybody just sits there and talk about, oh, we can't do anything, or we can't, because of the current administration. No, there's always something to do.
Yes.
We can fight, and this is one way of us fighting against um high prices is get your
Exactly.
get your own, do your own, and
Exactly.
and partner in the community. Okay, my neighbor next door, you got some chickens, I got some land. Let's work together. You
I
know.
love it. Yep, that is a cool way to fight back tariffs where you could save more money and then
Yeah.
to be able to, be sustainable, but also to piggyback another resource Michelle mentioned, the Duval Soil and Water Preservation. They're off the University of Florida Extension Office off of
Hmm.
Macduff Avenue. They have classes, they have online meetings where you can get some seeds, where you can contact them to test your soil and your water. So there's ways that we can be more proactive. I remember my mom taking me there when I was a little girl. I didn't know what that was until I got a little bit older, but
Hmm.
she would go there all the time because we had a garden growing up in College Gardens off of Kings Road in Newtown. So yeah, because a granddaughter of a black farmer. So my mom brought that skill set to Florida when she moved here, her and my dad. But with that being said, I love the fact, Michelle, that not knowing your background with your daughter and the green thumb, I just knew it was a fit. For us to really relaunch this environmental caucus, and we have some big things up for store for Jacksonville. So
Yes, we
y'all
do.
need to get ready. And so we're gonna make sure that every food desert in Jacksonville will have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. We're gonna find a way to connect the communities to make sure that happens. So no child, no adult, no elderly person will ever go hungry again.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
so Michelle, now we know about the Girl Scouts, the Environmental Caucus, the PTA. Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce. What is up with that?
Oh, let me tell you, we are growing. Shannon Denson, who's the president of the Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce, is doing some amazing things with our team. We're actually come May 17th, we're
Mm-hmm.
doing Mom Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, I can't even say it correctly. Uh, a Mom Entrepreneurial Fair, where
Okay.
moms who are entrepreneurs can come in, and we're going to have speakers speaking into their lives. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of moms who are self-employed, who have wonderful
Wow.
businesses, and we want to spotlight them. Of course, we celebrate moms during the month of May, so
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at mothers who are doing it and being bosses themselves,
Mm-hmm.
having products and services and all of that. So we're doing some
Wow.
really good things within the community, to bring us all together as far as business is concerned. We are also making sure we have wonderful resources to supply businesses. Now, one key factor is you don't have to be Black to join the Black Chamber of Commerce.
What?
You don't have to be. We have a
What?
mutual friend who's a part of all kinds of, oh, he's a part of like the Asian, and he's a part of the Hispanic. And I'm like, wow. But you don't have to be Black. It's just, that's where we started to focus, and we decided to take it and run with it. You do not have to
That's
be Black. You don't have to be African American. You can be anybody. We
wow.
have tons of resources, from working with Google to uh Kava, Kava, Kiva,
Keep
Kiva,
Kiva.
Kiva, Kiva,
Yes.
by helping you find resources for funding, or helping you find resources for grant writing. If there's any grants available, we try to find those
Wow.
resources for you. That's what we do. We come to help small businesses, medium businesses, even if you got a bigger business. We try to help you with having a good way of having resources to help your business grow. So that's what a part
Awesome.
of the chamber does. I also go out and I speak and talk about, let's bring it all in, let's bring it all together. We can all do business here in the United States. We
That's
have
good.
we have a lot of businesses here in Jacksonville that we can sustain ourselves. We don't have to go out of the country. We don't have to go out of the state.
What?
We don't have to go out of the city, to be honest with you. We've got
Wow.
so much here in Jacksonville. And it's not just clothes.
Right.
We have
Tell it. Tell it.
IT people, we have
Yes.
chemists, we have all kinds of businesses that are minority owned here in
Wow.
Jacksonville. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a really awesome program. I am the relationship officer, the chief relationship officer. So I go out and I build relationships not only with small businesses, medium business, but I help also find resources for those businesses also. So that's
Wow.
what that encompasses with all of that. And that is the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm enjoying it. Oh, I'm so enjoying that. And
That is
I would say
amazing.
that with the environmental caucus kind of like helped me get over that grief hump that you feel like you can get over a certain hump, you just kind of sustain there. And but
Mm-hmm.
those two programs for me is like, boom, I've taken off. I have no time really to sit and wallow, process but not wallow. That's the difference when you are going through grief and you're trying to find yourself and find a way of what can I do in life now.
That's
And
good.
those two things were amazing because my background is mortgage lending,
Mm-hmm.
and so with the mortgage industry changing the way it doesn't look the same. I've done everything from loan processing to account executive, selling loans on the secondary market, the whole gamut. But it's all changed, and I didn't want to go back to the same old, same old. I wanted to change, just like the world was changing. So I'm
Wow.
enjoying all of this and getting over the hump.
That is so beautiful. Now, it's something that in your bio that you ain't mentioned, but I know about, and I'm gonna bring it up
Okay.
about this publication and author and writing. Uh-huh. You ain't think I remember that. What's up with that?
Oh, okay. You're gonna call me to the carpet. So I love reading. I'm an avid reader. It's one thing, and just to kind of give you a background of who, as a kid in my family, everybody was I'm like a oops baby. So I was like, my parents were older. And everybody kind of forgot about me a little bit. So when I was in school, I had a little issue with reading. I
Mhm.
didn't know how to read really until I was in the third grade. It just so happens I'm going to tell this story because everybody that's in the story are all gone. So I can tell the story now. So there was this substitute teacher. My actual teacher was out on maternity leave. The substitute teacher came in and discovered that she was one of my uncle's girlfriends. So she tells my uncle, "Hey, Michelle can't read." And he
Hmm.
says, "Really?" He says, "Well, what do I have to do to help you teach her how to read?" She says,
Hmm.
"Since I like you so much, I'm going to take the time every afternoon." Within 2 months, I was like Forrest Gump said, I was a reading fool. So that's where my love of books come from. Is
Okay,
this lady pouring into me? If I learn how to read, nobody can stop me.
that's
No one can
good.
tell me no. No one can get anything over on me because that's how in the past how a lot of people got over on African Americans is that we didn't know how to read, we didn't understand. So learning how to
Exactly.
read, but then learning reading comprehension, which goes back to that educational piece. They need to stop cutting these programs because we need these things.
Right.
But reading and my love of books. And so I started off with Nancy Drew, reading those type of things, mysteries and things. And then, of course, my big thing is romance. I love romance novels. I mean, we have one of the best romance authors here in Jacksonville. I'm going to give her a little toot, Miss Brenda Jackson, the
Oh,
best.
wow.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, the best. She's like my favorite, all time favorite.
Wow.
So started reading, and then with that, I had a very deep imagination. I could
Mm.
sit and I could write stories and come up with things and as if they were movies. So my late husband, who also was an author, um,
Wow.
we sat down and we actually collabed on a couple of things. And he says, you really should think about really writing this down and writing a book. So I started and I'll put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. Well, over the last few months, God started dealing with me, not about the romance book, but about dealing with spending time with him. And journaling is my other passion. Writing
Yes.
things out, getting it all out. And that's how also I got through grief. Because if you know me, I had a lot of loss within a short period of time. I lost my sister 3 months later. I lost my husband 3 months after that. I lost my father. So that was a
Wow.
lot to deal with. And where do I put this? And therapy does help. It does work. I know in our community, we do say, oh, no, we don't need a therapist. We need to go to God. Well, God put a therapist here. He gave everything we
Yes.
need is already here. So go to
Yes.
therapy, get yourself a notebook and a pen or a pencil and write down your emotions, write down your feelings, write down your memories. And I was thinking, I'm sitting here and I'm writing, and God says, how about you spend 10 minutes with me a day and you write and you talk to me through your journals? So right
Mhm.
now, my work in progress is a 90-day, 10 minutes. It's called Drop and Give Me 10. Drop and give God 10 minutes a day. Just
Wow.
writing. You don't even have to be on your knees praying. It's just sit there and spend time and meditate on things yourself, not children, just about you and your connection with God. How can you how can you get your deeper spiritual connection with him? And it takes 90 days to form a habit.
Yes, it do.
90 days to form a habit. After that 90 days, you are already in the habit of spending those 10 minutes a day with God, whether it's in the morning, whether it's at noontime, and whether it's at night. Just that 10 minutes, you're going to say, I need those 10 minutes to connect and making sure I'm okay. And I started doing that in my personal life. And it was like, oh, wow, here we go. So by keeping my fingers crossed, I'm not going to give an exact date, but we're going to say fall of 2025.
Okay.
Drop and give me 10 a day. Prayer journal, meditation prayer journal will be released.
All
Um,
right. Look at you. I knew you was working on something. You ain't saying nothing, but I knew you was working on something.
Working on that one.
Congratulations.
Thank you so very much. So that
Congratulations.
is that is the big that I had to put everything else over to the side. Everybody kept saying, Michelle, you really need to tell your story. You need to that's coming. That's coming because my story has not ended. I still, if I begin to tell some of the stuff that's in the other work in progress of my life, yeah, which will be told in a fiction version, in a fiction version. But if I do that, some things are so funny. And you say, "Girl, I didn't know you lived through that." Yeah, I did. How did you get through it? And how are you not crazy? Who says I'm not crazy?
Exactly. You just know
Oh,
how to, that self-control, that fruit of the
that
spirit, that self-control. Yes,
yeah, that
ma'am.
that that spending that 10 minutes a day and saying, okay, God, I just need to connect with you. Not so I'm not crazy. Or going off the deep end. And sometimes I have to go. I feel like, you know what? I'm about to go. Let me call Therese. Let me call
Yes.
Shannon. Let me call Van in Orlando. Let me
Yes.
call Lisa in Texas. And when I can't get there, any one of you guys, I say, okay, God, can one of my mentors please, please, please? And those are guys. And I'm like, oh, let me text one of my mentors and see if they get me back. Usually the first one that usually texts me back is Pastor Warmack in Texas. And he's like, okay, you just need to calm down, girl.
Yes.
You got
Yes.
this. God got you, the whole 9 yards. So there's there's a lot going on, a lot in progress. So books, I tell people, you know what? That's how you release a lot of stress. Read. I mean, yeah, it's okay to get on social media and I do a lot of things on social media and I do a little bit of TV, not much, but a little bit of TV. But you let me have I can't travel without my Kindle. I even take my Kindle to church. It just feels weird. Even though I'm not reading it, it just feels weird. I just need to have that Kindle somewhere. It's in my bag somewhere because you never know. I might have to go somewhere and be sitting for a long time and I'm able to read. Books are the thing. And that's another thing. When I'm going to go back to the school, when we got people wanting to ban our kids' books. Now,
Yes.
certain books, they're like, oh, we got all these books. The majority of those books are not on the shelves. The majority of those books that they're complaining about are behind or in a cabinet somewhere, and it's locked up, and they have to have parents' permission to read those books.
Wow.
So why are you banning books? Helen Keller,
Mm-hmm.
books on MLK,
Mm.
Rosa Parks. Really? Come on.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Ruby Bridges.
Ruby Bridges about a little girl. Really? Okay, we see you, but this is where we see people in the community doing micro schools for history now. I
Yes.
have a friend here in my neighborhood. She has a micro school, and other people are starting to set those up. Don't want to teach history in school, real history? Okay, well now we've got to set up community hubs and community history lessons and things like that so people can know the truth, but it won't get out to everyone. And not only
Exactly.
just for African American and Black children and brown children, but other kids need to learn, Caucasian kids need to learn Black history also. It's part
Right.
of all of our history, American history. All of it is American, Asian American history, all of it. And it's just, we shouldn't censor everything.
Exactly, because that helps with expanding their worldview, helps them with critical thinking. This is where I feel the churches really can come back in the limelight with bringing Sunday school back,
Yes.
on Sundays, Bible study back, whether it's in person or online or virtual. That will be the perfect platforms for the churches to be able to talk about history because the Bible itself is a
It
history
is.
lesson.
It
So
is.
I totally agree with you. I'm, a proponent against the book banning as well. But I am just so fascinated on everything on how you turned your grief into service and how you planting seeds of change and you building power behind it and
Yeah.
also building your confidence in your next chapter of your life. So,
Yeah.
Michelle, before we get ready to go, tell the listeners how can they get involved with PTA or SAC or the Environmental Caucus or the Chamber? What can they do? How can they reach out to you?
Oh, wow. Well, there is a lot. Now, PTA, it's join your local school PTA. If your kid goes to your neighborhood school, go to the neighborhood school. Call the neighborhood school and say, "Hey, I'd like to join my kids PTA." Or if they have school advisory. Now, if your school does not have a PTA, and we do have some schools who don't have an organized PTA. You can always contact Duval County's PTA and they can help you either set up or you could just join and they can help your school do whatever it needs to do. So that's with PTA. You go to pta.org, I believe it is. You can also school advisory council, of course, that's going back to your local school, or if your kid is in a magnet school, you can go to that school. Or even if you don't want to do that because the school is far, you can still serve at your local neighborhood school, or any school. You don't have to have a child to be a member of a PTA nor a SAC. You just want to get involved. Now you're going to have to fill out some background paperwork, of course, so that when you're coming onto those campuses, they got to know who's on those campuses.
Right.
So you're gonna have to, if you got a whole bunch of stuff going on in your past life, yeah, you
You may
probably have to
need to
find over
find another way to
another
serve, huh?
avenue, another way of serving in the community. However, everybody voices should be heard. So if you can't serve like that, go to the school board meetings, get
Yes.
involved that way. And let your voice be heard. Find out who your school board representative is.
Mm-hmm.
And work on making sure that every child, every student, is given the same level of education. And also, I'm sorry, I'm not an advocate of charter schools. I need that money to stay in the public school. I
Mm-hmm.
would like for our kids to stay in public school. Let's not uh, pri- say it's okay for you to take all of our monies and put it to charter schools. I'm not saying all charter schools are bad, but I think
Right.
public schools, we We churn out some amazing
Yes.
people in life.
Yes.
I'm public school.
Yes.
A lot of us are public
So am
school,
I. So am I.
and my
Yes.
parents could not afford private school.
Hmm.
And I had a really good education. I went to Wilson High School. So, hello, do you
Yes.
not see what they're doing over there? I have friends who graduated from Stanton and Paxson and other schools, and they are so amazing. They're such amazing people. And so we need to really, really, really look at making sure we keep all of our funding in our public school system and not in charter schools. So
Yes.
let me go back to, so getting involved with SAC you and PTA, you do not have to have a child at all in those schools. So if you're retired, this is a great time for you to get involved and know
Yes.
what's going on in the community. If you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, it's an awesome way of
Hmm.
getting involved in the community. And it's not something that you have to do. It's not an everyday thing. You don't have to be so involved to where your whole day is committed to that one thing. So get involved. Say, I could do an hour a month. Trust me, those committees, those schools would appreciate it. Get involved in just volunteering at different schools, reading to kids, mentoring kids, going to middle schools and high schools, which a lot of our students do need mentors when they're, changing hormones and all of that good stuff. And if you are somebody that is community oriented and you can pass the background screenings,
Yes.
give back into the community that way. Be a child's mentor. If you
Hmm.
have pure intentions, do it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
would feel better inside.
Right.
You and you would feel a lot lighter. It builds my confidence. And when I go to the school and the little kids, the little ones come up to me, Miss Buckley, oh, man, that makes me feel so amazing. I'm like, somebody know my name.
Yes.
Somebody loves me. I mean, my
Yes.
children love me, but I'm just like, wow, I feel like a rock star when I go to that school. I'm like smiling, and then my ego is shot up really high. I love it. And so getting involved with there. Then also you can always, the environmental caucus, let me tell you, we are about to do a green fair and it is amazing. You can go to our Facebook page, Duval County Environmental Caucus. You can reach us there. And if you want to get involved, just hit us up. We'll be happy to sit down and talk with you. We do neighborhood cleanup,
Yes.
park cleanup, all this stuff. If you want to write letters to legislators and say, look, over here stinks. And this company, I know, is slipping you some money. Let's call
Hmm.
them to the carpet on it.
Yes.
So it's so many ways of getting involved with that. With the chamber, the Jacksonville Black Chamber of Commerce, you can always go to our Facebook site. We also have it, jacksonvillebcc.org. That's our website. You can reach out to me, M. Buckley at jacksonvillebcc.org. If you want to send me an email and get some information for the chamber, that is a lot going on with that. I do have to say, you've given me this wonderful opportunity to do this. Side note, I'll do a little side note here. Another thing that helps build your confidence up and get you through grief and get you through anxiety is getting up and taking care of yourself. Self-care is very, very important.
Yes.
Um, Getting over the hump. Not only did I have the caucus and have the chamber, I also have a little group of friends at a Bliss hair studios, and those Cynthia Meadows and Benza Jackson, they take care of me and make me feel so good over there
Aw.
and and they surround me with love and they motivate me. Now, these young ladies are, when I say they're young, they're not my kids, but they pour into me all the time.
That's
And just
good.
as much as I give out, I get.
That's
And
good.
it's amazing. They make you feel great. They make you, they tell you, you could do this. I had my very first speaking engagement for the chamber, and I was so, so nervous. And they did the hair and the makeup, and I was like, wow, I look like a whole different person. And they were like, all right, now you're gonna go and knock them dead. You know what you got to talk about, you know what you got to do. You got to motivate the people to, do what they do best. And those ladies over there and that gentleman, DeMarcus, they make me feel so good. And those guys, and they tell you the importance of self-care, and also branding is another thing. You're branding yourself. Therese, you are doing such an amazing job branding yourself and putting your work out there. You love the community. You love Jacksonville. You
Yes.
love people.
Yes.
And we are so appreciative of you bringing your gifts to us.
Oh,
We
thank
are, and you
you.
are amazing. And I look forward of voting for you.
What you
I look
talking about
so,
voting? What you talking about voting? What you gonna vote for?
oh,
What you gonna
they,
vote
I'm
for?
going to vote for the people. That's what I'm voting for. That's one thing we got to understand is it's time for us to vote for the people,
Yes,
what we
ma'am.
need, and
Yes,
take this
ma'am.
back locally.
Yes.
What can we do locally? Who are we locally? And that's one thing I love about you. You're not talking about all this big companies, this and this, that, and the other. You're talking about what can we do here for us here in this district, in this area? What can we do? And it's about service. That's the only title I've ever wanted in life was called servant.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And that is very
Servant.
true. That's my heart because at the end of the day, this particular district is the primary election is the general election. And whoever wins that primary, they represent you not just at the state level, but making sure those tax dollars at the state level come right to you on your block. And if that
Correct.
is not happening, it's time to, retire the current incumbent and hire the right person that's going to make sure your tax dollars work for you. But I
Exactly.
appreciate all the love, Michelle, all the opportunities. You are hearing it live here on Voices of Florida House District 14 podcast. We are speaking and have been speaking with Michelle Buckley, public speaker, community advocate, chief administrative executive director, chief relationship officer, author, PTA advocate, SAC chair. Other words, she took her grief and she turned it into building power through service, planting seeds of change, which is an example everyone should follow. But I love how she ended with self-care. Shout out to a Bliss Salon for doing an amazing job with Michelle. She blooms every time I see her. So thank you for everyone for listening. Thank you, Michelle, for joining. And
Thank you
stay
for having me.
tuned for our next episode.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thank you for listening to Voices of Florida House District 14. Love thy neighborhood. If you felt seen, heard, or inspired, share this episode, subscribe to our podcast, and spread the word across our district and beyond. From Durkeeville to Dunn Avenue, from East Side to Edgewood, from Springfield to San Marco, and across every street near the stadium downtown. We are building power, one voice at a time. Don't forget to sign the petition to get me on the 2026 ballot and donate $26 today to keep this campaign for the people, powered by the people. Schedule your story session, stay connected on social media, and join our volunteer team, digitally or in person, because change starts with us, right here, right now, right on your block. Until next time, love your neighbor, lift your voice, and let's fight for the future we all deserve. Paid for by Therese V. Wakefield-Gamble, Democrat for Florida House District 14. Produced by CRPC Now Media. Powered by Concierge Resource Professional Consultants, LLC.